In the words of James Weldon Johnson, dem bones, dem dry bones. Whether you're super clumsy and you somehow manage to injure yourself, or you're like me and you're starting to age pretty fast, dem dry bones of yours may have just lost some skeletal tissue. What are we gonna do now? My name's Jania Brown, and today we're gonna figure out how to regenerate skeletal tissue. In recent years, science has been looking for more reliable and innovative ways to regenerate skeletal tissue. This is where bone tissue engineering, or regenerative medicine, comes into play. When using mesenchymal stem cells, there are generally three things that are considered: how to harness stem cells, how to effectively put these stem cells into scaffolds, and how to use growth factors to make this process happen even more efficiently. So, let's talk stem cells. Within the cavity of the bone, there is a fatty tissue known as the bone marrow. The bone marrow consists of two compartments, the hematopoietic compartment and the stromal compartment. Thanks to experiments done by a pretty influential guy, Alexander Friedenstein, the discovery of bone marrow stromal cells was made. These cells, now called mesenchymal cells, also known as MSCs. These cells can differentiate into a wide array of cells, such as fat, cartilage, and most important to us, bone cells. Now on to part 2, the scaffold. A scaffold is a 3D structure that is similar to the tissue. Ideally, a scaffold will allow the cells to retain their characteristics, allow cells to differentiate, support new tissue, adhere to the specifications of the injury site, and be absorbed into the body without any toxic byproducts. Natural polymers show exciting characteristics, such as biodegradability and biocompatibility. Some natural polymers include silk, collagen, peptides, and hyaluronic acid. Finally, let's talk about growth factors. Growth factors are defined by scientist Kang-Won Lee as soluble secreted signaling polypeptides that are capable of instructing specific cellular responses in a biological environment. These two cool squiggly things, also known as proteins, are BMP2 and BMP7, which are some common growth factors used in the differentiation and relocation of osteoblasts. Now that we know all this information, what are we supposed to do with it? Well, the basic process is going to follow these steps. First, you isolate the patient's cells. Second, you culture them to grow in vitro, meaning outside of the living organism. Third, you insert these cells onto the scaffold. And finally, you implant the scaffold into the living organism. Eventually, the MSCs will differentiate and become bone tissue, and the scaffold will become a part of the bone structure. Although this is obviously a lot more complicated than we're making it sound, when used as a treatment for osteogenesis imperfecta, improvements were seen in 5 out of 6 patients. There are the basics. And although this is still in its clinical trials, we're all wondering what the future is going to hold. We can look forward to involving 3D printing, scaffold-free implants, and controlled drug delivery systems, as well as many other super cool technologies. So, let's quit being boneheads and cheers to scientific innovation.